Empty hangers are from things I've sold.
It's a wide screenshot of the closet that used to be full of clothes. Where do you think that money came from? Where did that money come from? You want to know why you are in debt. Think about all the stuff your student loan money went to that was not for educational purposes. We're going to look at a news story about a young lady. This story is about 5 years old. She graduated 2 years before the pandemic with a $118,000 degree for drama. And this is her story of what she's discovered about paying back student loans, especially as it pertains to interest, and also what she's having to do to maintain employment to keep up on the $900 a month payments. Now then, before I start, really briefly, I want to make sure that my audience understands that I am not criticizing the degree choice. Whatever subject people want to major in, that's up to them. What I am criticizing, or should I say critiquing, is the debt that people are going into, including myself, to get a degree, but not really having done the math on to find out, first off, is it really necessary to have to go and take on a college loan to do the job you want to do, okay? And even if it is necessary, is the trade-off of stress, sleepless nights, you're looking at maybe 20, 30, 40 years of debt. Okay, is that worth trying to pursue a degree? In other words, at one point, does the degree just not become worth it? So that's what the focus of this channel is. So that's why I'm looking at people with different degrees, but it's not the degree that I'm critiquing. It's what it takes. I don't care if you've got a degree in, I don't know, petting zoo skills. Okay, that's great. But do you need to go out and, get $100,000 education to run a petting zoo? Okay, it's that sort of thing. It's not a judgment on, what it is that the person actually wants to do. But what are you going to have to sacrifice? And are you really, really aware of what that sacrifice is? All right. So let's go ahead and get into this story. Okay, before I begin the stream really quickly, this gal, Brittany, who's relatively young, has actually appeared on multiple YouTube commentary videos. And some of them, I'm not on a lot of them, but a couple of them I've seen her on with other commentators. And she's gotten some real hate from some commentators and, of course, comments. And I know a lot of it is surrounding, why would you pay $118,000 for a drama degree? But I'm going to try to take that and let's look at it, in my opinion, in a more productive way. And let's see where she went wrong, where somebody who is considering, getting a drama degree might be able to redirect the way they go about doing. Because to just simply hate on her, as much as I've seen in some other videos, and we have to remember something, these people are coming forward and they're admitting their mistake. Okay, I came forward and continue to come forward because I've made a zillion and one mistakes. Okay, so sitting and then telling them, they're sharing their story, they're allowing other people to learn, and then going, shame, shame, shame. It's not productive. It is not productive. So we are going to try to take this in a kinder, gentler way, but honestly. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to keep her on regular speed because this is only a 5-minute video. Well, her portion is 5 minutes. Mine might be a little longer than that.
My name is Brittany. I went to Tufts University. I studied drama and communications.
I have to be honest, I've never heard of Tufts University. Never heard of it. I'm assuming that because partly based on the cost of the bill, it must be a pretty elite school. Or at least a school that's well known by people majoring in drama.
And I owe $118,000 in student loans.
All right, well, at least she knows how much she owes. That's the first step to recovery, right? Know how much you owe. 118 for a bachelor's degree from a university I personally have never heard of. Seems like a lot of money. Let's take a look at that screen. $900 a month in student loans. I can tell you, if I look at my lifestyle, okay, my mortgage, I think It's probably around, when I had a mortgage, was right around 400, maybe 415. Okay, this is like double my mortgage payment. This was until my student loan was forgiven. Um, this was, I think I paid around 300 for a student loan. But being debt free today, I can tell you this is about half of my cost of living as a debt free person. And that includes a car lease, because I love my lease cars. I like to lease a Toyota.
When you started going to college, did you understand loans?
It was just explained to us as everybody has student loans, and this is just something you do to get ahead in life. Taking loans out was just part of what everyone had to do, that they weren't going to affect my life that much. I really didn't understand.
Okay, so let's stop for a second. I did a video yesterday on intergenerational poverty between a mom and a daughter suffering from $154,000 of student loans. Okay, and I know for a fact that that daughter somewhere along the line, and probably the mother too, okay, but I know for a fact the daughter, who majored in Persian studies, was most likely told, especially when you're from the lower income brackets, okay, lower on the socioeconomic scale, and you're told, hey, you know what, go to college. It'll solve your problems. Everybody does student loans. You see, and what is it? There's an advertising term called bandwagon. Okay, so it's a term that I teach to my students. It's part of our district curriculum. And bandwagon and advertising is kind of what you might know as FOMO, it's the fear of missing out. Okay, everybody else is doing it, so you do it. There is something about when everybody else is doing it, it justifies it. It even justifies the irresponsibility of it. When I mean it justifies the irresponsibility of it, I'm saying it justifies why we really don't need to understand what we're signing, why it's okay to just keep signing quarter after quarter, semester after semester, because everybody else is doing it. So because everybody else is doing it, and they're doing it in maybe a haphazard manner, that justifies me doing it. I'm not saying it literally does, but it's that bandwagon, we're all in it together, okay? None of us know what the student loan bill is. None of us know what our interest rate is. All we know is we want this degree. And just like she said, she didn't think it would affect her life that much. I didn't either. And I got my student loan at the age of 36. The biggest thing I can honestly tell you that I was concerned about, and I've said this before, I was concerned about the monthly payment. How stupid does that get? I'm calling myself stupid. Okay, that's what I was concerned about. I never asked, hey, what is the total amount of this degree? How much is it going to bring me in per month, in a job increase? And then the job increase minus what I'm going to pay in student loans. Oh, gee, I'm only going to make about an extra $400 a month. Well, I could probably do that. We're giving up a day of working at McDonald's. Never asked that. Never asked that.
Understand the magnitude of them until I graduated.
Now I look at this picture of her. I mean, is that just not breathtaking innocence right there? I'm sorry, but you really expect her to walk in to a student loan office and really understand what $118,000 is? And it's so easy. I know the haters out there will go, well, it's her responsibility. She should known better. We don't all, what is it? There's a saying, you don't know what you don't know. You don't. And I look at this young lady, and she's beautiful. And look at the happy face. I know it's kind of blurred out, but the happy face next to her. Wonder what her student loan debt is. These are kids entering college. They don't come out as kids, in my opinion. Once you start hitting your mid-20s, you're not a kid anymore, okay? But these are kids entering college, 18, 19, graduating at 21, 22, all right? She's just graduated, getting ready to enter the real world of adulthood. I guarantee you, she looks like this at graduation, okay, and that's 4 years later. I'm telling you, these young kids are going into college. They're coming out of high school. They don't get it. Yeah, you can tell them $1,000, but they only know $1,000 as it pertains to a math test. Not what does it take to earn one? How long will it take me to work a job if I'm making minimum wage? How many hours on my feet am I going to have to waitress? They don't have a concept of that. If I didn't have a concept of it at 36, oh heck, I don't expect an 18-year-old to have a concept of it. It's the concept of what does it take to pay it off. It's not that they don't understand the dollar bill. They get 20, 30, 40, 50,000. They can write that down. They don't have a concept of how hard it is to pay it.
Graduated college in 2009, so it was the height of like the economic recession and the jobs crisis. Everybody pretty much had to like move back home and reassess what to do. Then I started getting the phone calls.
Oh, the ring phone calls. Yes, the phone calls. On the video that I did yesterday, I think it was Sally Mae, and there was a whole line, just an entire line of Sally Mae, Sally Mae, Sally Mae, Sally Mae.
That say like, hey, so now that you're out of school, you're gonna have to start paying back your student loans, and your minimum amount is astronomical.
Most students, myself included, when I was in school, in my 30s, I did not know how much my student loan would be. I took it on kind of a wing and a prayer from the financial aid office. People, do not trust the financial aid office to tell you exactly what your student loan per month is going to be. First off, the person that's telling you has really no interest in telling you the God's honest truth, nor do they probably even care. So when the student loan office says, oh yeah, no problem, your student loan bill will be, $250 a month. Well, for all you know, that's $250 a month based on that quarter. You need to ask them, what's it going to be like 4 years down the road after I've taken out a six-figure debt? Well, they can't tell you that because student loans also fluctuate in interest payments. So you have to some extent, listen to what the student loan office says, but also take it with a grain of salt. Okay? Because they really don't know until you're completely done. But the question is, do you know?
So my total due for the
Hey, back that up. Back that up just a second. Look at that. Do you know how much that mug cost? You guys know. If you've been watching this channel for even so much as a week, yes, I observe a lot of stuff. That is a $118,000 mug if I've ever seen it. Okay, I'm trying to be a little humorous on a serious subject here, okay? Don't take me too seriously sometimes. But it is a nice mug. It looks pretty, sturdy. Probably hold a good bowl of ramen noodles. I think I'll just leave that comment at that.
My total due for this month, $707.74. What will be applied to the
Okay, so we're at $707.74. All right.
principal? $64.54. So the principal is the total amount of loan, like actual money that I actually took out. What will be going to the interest? $643.20. The interest.
Gonna back that picture up again. All right. Principal paid $64. So the 700, I'm just gonna call it the 7777. Okay. I can't write. It was a lot of sevens. Okay. But either way, it's in the 700 range. You young people, and even the older people who may want to consider going back to school and haven't been there for a while and are a little out of touch, and you're thinking that we're based on the 80s. $64 is what her balance is actually going to be paid down. Hey, but she's in a better spot. At least she's reaching into the principal. This is not on income based, because as I've told you before, if this were income based, all right, she wouldn't even be reaching into the principal. So with this case, her balance is going to drop $64 this month. You have to think of student loans like cars. They're called amortized loans, like cars and houses. All the interest is paid up front. They get their money on the front end. What is it that they say? You need to stay in a house anywhere from 7 to 10 years. I think it's like a minimum range of 7 years. Okay, don't quote me on this. I'm not in real estate, all right? But I think it's around, I've heard 7 to 10 years is what a person needs to stay in a house before they can even start thinking of money going towards the principal. This is why when people move houses before that 7, 8, 9 year mark is up, they haven't paid a thing towards the house. All they've done is pay interest. Check this out. $64. Oh, there it is. It's right in front of me. Okay, $707.74. $64 is going to the actual bill. And she's in a good spot. because like I said, this is not based on income. Now look at this number and imagine if you're income based. I want you to see this, okay? Imagine you are making income based. She wouldn't be paying $707. She might have a nice comfortable $300. And then she could pay $300 for 10 years. And then when she looks at her bill, she's like, why did my bill go up? I've paid my $300. This is a perfect graphic representation of why income-based does not work. Why income-based can be the biggest scam out there. I remember being relieved when it was income-based because I was like, oh my goodness, I had $100,000, or at the time, I had $85,000, $90,000 loan at the time. I can't possibly afford, $800, $900 a month. When it hit $100,000, it was nearing $1,000, but there was no way I could pay that. Okay, there was no way. And so they were like, oh, no, Miss Horn, you just pay $300. And I'm thinking, oh, phew, thank goodness. And, I'm off on my merry day, right? Well, this graph shows why my bill kept going up. This is why. Income-based, she'd be paying easily half of that, if not even less. But that interest would just be tacked onto the principal. And now new interest goes on to the principal. It's just like credit cards, okay?
20 cents. The interest is not money that I actually borrowed. It's what they're making off of having lent me the money in the first place. So most of this money is going towards interest. In total interest paid on my loan, it's $48,379.75.
All right, let's stop and look at this graph. She also has $280 in late fees. So she's paid out $62,000. We're just going to round off, okay? She's paid out $62,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. Think about it. She's paid out, okay, she took out $118,000. She's almost at the halfway mark, right? Wrong, because almost all of it went to interest, because again, it's an amortized loan. All the interest gets paid up front. She's only paid down $14,000. And again, she's not income-based. That wouldn't even be paid down $14,000. That'd be paid down zero with more added on. Late fees, $280. That's the other thing about late fees is sometimes when you owe so much debt, it's easy to just start dismissing the late fees. You're like, what's $280 in late fees? I've only paid down $14,000 off my, six-figure loan. But those late fees, too, get added on for payment. But it's easy to disregard those late fees because it feels like such a helpless situation. So, like, you know what? So it's like, so what? So I pay an extra $280 in late fees. Big deal. Every student should be shown this map or this little drawing here, graph.
That's most of all the money I've paid towards the loan has gone towards interest. So my principal isn't going down, my debt isn't going down. I'm literally just paying the interest.
Exactly. It's just like when you purchase a home or a car or a student loan. You're just paying the interest. This is called the reality. This is called waking up. This is called you're not on campus anymore, having fun on the grass, throwing frisbee, with the dorm, mates and stuff. This is called reality. Reality is sinking in. This is what they don't show you in the brochures and pamphlets.
One of the things I do when I am short on money is that
Short on money. You go to school to get a drama degree for $118,000 and you're short on money. Lots and lots and lots of students that have gone to school are short on money. Do you find something wrong about that? Think about that for a minute.
I go through my closet and see if there's anything that I can sell.
Take a look. How many hangers do you count? Just look at all those hangers.
I bought this
and these clothes look nice. I don't think I've had a nice wardrobe like this. You want to know where the money came from?
dress for a tea.
Oh, so let me see now. I can pretty much tell you that college, part of the college tuition, and we are not here to criticize, but we are here to learn. These clothes look pretty nice. And as she said, not dressing for tea. That's a really expensive cup of tea. It's a really expensive cup of Starbucks coffee. I can pretty much tell you that a lot of the student loan money went to fund stuff like this.
I love it, but not going to very many teas anymore, so.
She may not be going to teas, but if she gets a barista job, she can be serving tea. Probably wasn't in the original plan, however.
All these.
Take it all. If you guys study the background in videos, you can learn so much. The background speaks volumes. Okay, look at all those hangers. At one point, there were dresses down there, and I'm not saying clothes are necessarily designer. Okay, I have a pretty good eye for clothes, all right, but that's a whole lot of hangers. I can tell you, I have never had that many hangers in my closet with clothes on it. Maybe some empty hangers because I bought some extra at Marshall's, and they had a 24 pack or something, but they've never been filled with that many clothes on it. That's a lot of clothes. It's a lot of trips to Plato's Closet. Plato's Closet is I think it's, what is it? It's a store where you can take back clothes you've worn and put them on consignment. At least it's popular out here in Florida.
Empty hangers are from things I've sold.
Boy, that's a widescreen shot of the closet that used to be full of clothes. Where do you think that money came from? Where did that money come from? You want to know why you are in debt? Think about all the stuff your student loan money went to that was not for educational purposes. And I'm willing to bet those clothes weren't bought secondhand either. This was first-hand clothing. That's a lot of hangers. That's called a wide shot, long shot, or something like that.
So, getting to the bare bones of it all. Selling the clothes, it doesn't cover my rent, but it is extra money towards my student loans. I'm a freelance production assistant.
Okay, so this is job one. Do you need a college degree to be a freelance production assistant? I don't think you do. Remember, she went to school for drama.
I also work at a dance studio as a.
Okay. So now we're at job number 2. She's a receptionist. Okay. Do you need a college degree from Tufts University at $118,000 for that? Probably not. Probably not.
Receptionist, and I also work for a temp agency. I only took out money.
Okay, and she works for a temp agency, which means she's sent to odd jobs, and temp agencies usually sometimes they pay a little bit more than minimum wage if you're lucky. So right now we're down to 3 degrees, so we can make approximately $900 a month payments. So all the money goes to interest, and she's clearing out her closet. And what are you gonna do when the closet gets to no clothes left?
For loans to go towards my tuition costs, and I had a job for paying for books and housing portion.
I wonder how much though was spent on teas and pretty clothes. When you and I don't care if it's student loans, credit card bills, but for the purposes, of this story, it's about student loans. You're gonna find that your life is wrapped in it. It's like everything you do, every decision you make is to cover that bill. Is this worth it? Is this worth it? Everything you do, you can't afford to keep the clothes in the closet. You got to sell it for the student loan. You can't afford to keep the car. To get the car repaired. You got to sell it for the student loan. You got to hold 3 jobs for the student loan. And what was the student loan for? A drama degree. Now, again, we are not here to debate whether or not $118,000 for a drama degree was good or bad. Okay, to somebody who's really wealthy, that's not a big deal. What we are talking about is when you cannot afford the bill. Okay, when you don't have the economic means to wipe it out easily and quickly, we're talking about, are these sacrifices worth it? Me thinks they're not, but that's me.
Okay, I hope I get some decent money for my clothes. It's really hard to just feel like I can't really afford rent. I can't afford to eat out. It's like I can barely afford groceries.
And keep in mind, this was filmed 2 years before the pandemic. My old apartment, when I moved out in 2020, my old apartment's about maybe 1.5 miles from me, 2 miles at most. My old apartment, I left, it was 675 square feet. I left it in 2020 to get my condo. I left it early 2020, like February. My old apartment was renting at $1,000 a month. Today, on September 23rd, 2023, it is renting at approximately $1,800 a month. 675 square feet, no washer dryer. So if she couldn't afford rent then, if she couldn't afford groceries then, imagine what's happening now in today's economy.
And it's all because of this student loan debt. And like, I'm grateful that I went to a great college and like,
I have yet, and I don't think you ever will, hear a person say that, oh, I'm not grateful that I got the education. Again, we're really not here to debate, whether or not the education, it gives you great information. Sure, a good education is going to give you great information, but at what cost?
I guess they can't take away my education, but
And that's a line that people, I'm sure I've said it too at some point. Well, I may be broke and, working 3 jobs and driving in a beat up car because I can't afford to repair the debt. But hey, you can't take away my education. I'm not making fun of her because she's saying that. It's just she's got a lot of company that has said the same thing.
they've pretty much tried to take everything else. To have a drink of alcohol, you have to be 21. To take out $100,000 worth of debt, you can be 18. You can do that. And
a lot of people will say, how come an 18-year-old can take out $100,000 in debt, but if I try to start a business at 18, they won't give it to me? Really simple. The student loans are guaranteed and backed by the government. So when a loan is guaranteed by the government to be paid back regardless of the cost, anybody will give it to you. Businesses, however, are not guaranteed. I have a little cake business, okay? If you live in Tampa, it's actually in Tampa, so it's just for like this local area, okay? Simple Cakes by Design, for those who are just dying to look it up, okay? But I have a little baby cake business. There is no guarantee from the federal government that my cakes are that my business is going to make a profit. No guarantee whatsoever. Therefore, do I have to pay attention as to how much I charge for my cakes? Can I say I want $500 for a cake that feeds 10 people? Probably not. But if the government were to back up my business like they do student loans and say, Miss Horn, you can charge as much as you want, well, then bring it on. Let's take the price of my cakes from $500 and we'll make them $1,000, because it's not going to matter, because the government's going to pay me back. This is why a 18-year-old can get a $100,000 student loan, but they can't get, $10,000 for a small business loan. Student loans don't vet, meaning they don't go through and check to see if you can actually pay it off.
And I definitely did not understand what I was signing up for. No one explained it to me. It's really scary to hear things like, even if you die, your family or next of kin will be responsible for paying these loans.
Now, let's put a little bit of, yeah, we do hear that, but I think that area I think is a little bit of fear mongering. If you have private loans and anybody who signed their name to those private loans, okay, yeah, is legally responsible. But if my sister, had private loans and I have nothing to do with signing on those loans, even if she passes away, you can't sue me for it. So I think there's a little fear mongering in the part of, if you die, your whole family's going to get it. I think that's some extra pressure that the loan collectors put on people. Well, great granny's going to get stuck with your, $50,000 loan, even though great granny lives in another state, has never signed on your loan. So let's make sure we keep that fear mongering in check whenever you get a call from a collector and they try to say, everybody in the sun's going to be responsible. No, the people are responsible for paying it back are the ones that signed their name on the loan, co-signers and all. The people who signed their name on the loan.
If you're completely bankrupt, you are still responsible for paying these loans.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And I think a lot of students, I think at this point know that, but I'm still kind of surprised there are students who don't know. But no, you cannot file bankrupt on student loans, but you can run up $100,000 on a business and file bankrupt. But you can't file it on student loans.
Every day I call Congress.
Senator Feinstein's office.
Hi, my name is Brittany King and I'm a constituent from Los Angeles. And I was calling to know, what are you guys doing about student loan reform?
I don't know if I'd call every day to find out. I'd probably be too busy working my 3 jobs.
One of the only deductions I get on my taxes is the interest I pay on my student loans. And with this bill, that would no longer be an option. It's
And I believe it no longer is. I believe it's been taken away.
crazy that I'm paying $48,000 in interest, and that would no longer be able to be deductible for me.
Think about this, okay? People who keep loans for years and years, all right? You will eventually wind up paying more in interest. It's like a teeter-totter, okay? And if you can't keep up on those payments and really get aggressive into that principal, and instead the interest just keeps adding on and on and on, before you know it, let's just take $100,000 loan, you can find out that several years later, 75,000 of it was added on for interest. Eventually, the interest can even surpass the amount of principal. I personally feel that federal loans need to have the interest simply removed. That's what I think. Or there's an interest cap. Your interest can't exceed more than 25% of the total loan balance that you originally took out. I think this runaway interest, if the government wants to try to help, okay, I think there needs to be a cap that the interest shouldn't be higher than whatever the percentage is of the loan balance, and that means cap for the life of the loan. Okay, that's the most interest that can be charged, because I think that this is going to hurt our economy. And on a quick side note, well, I don't want to get too far off track, but the bottom line is, so long as 44 million people owe debt on student loans, it does hurt the economy.
And it feels like I'm just down and they're just kicking me. I don't understand why you would make a tax bill.
Brochures would not look good if it said something like, hey, join our school, and after you graduate, you're going to feel like you're down and kicked on. That doesn't make for a good brochure. It doesn't make for a good brochure. See, your job to be a wise student loan borrower is to find videos like this and other videos like this and really find out the other side.
As to hurt people who are literally just trying to pay their student loans, and now you can't even deduct the interest, the crazy interest.
All right, I'm going to stop it here, and I'll be back with my closing thought in just a second. This is, in my opinion, another case of we needed an adult in the room. The $118,000 to major in drama, I can pretty much guarantee could have been done more effectively, more cost effectively through another path. The problem is when young people don't have leadership, be it at home, okay? And in my opinion, they're definitely not getting leadership in high school. Talking to a high school recruiter, or what is it, a college recruiter at a high school, and I'm sure they're being, a lot of these kids are fed the same line. That is just what she said. Well, don't worry about it. It's okay if you can't afford it. We'll give you all the money you need. And let's also be careful in understanding that, this is how students also wind up ending in predatory schools. Okay, those schools that got sued for basically making grandiose promises to students and then not being able to come through. This is a case, as far as I'm concerned, this is textbook. To me, she is a textbook case from the beginning to the end. Everything from, these were hopes and dreams. She didn't have a concept understanding of it, and I know I've said that in prior videos. And think about it: if I could go to school at 36 with my hopes and dreams, wearing my heart on my sleeve and all of that stuff, and I missed it, it's not surprising that these young people are missing it. But I really believe that young people should watch stories like hers, because if you really want to test how much you want a degree, okay, what would happen if before, 1 year before a student entered college, they would be required to hold 2-3 jobs? Now, we're not saying full-time jobs, okay? But maybe one full-time, two side gigs. Imagine if students had to do that. And the rule was you can quit anytime you want, but then you give up having to go to get that degree, at least in the route that you were originally wanting. And all of a sudden, oh, maybe in-state school is good. But again, in-state school can be deceptively comfortable. You think, oh, it's in-state, so it must be much more affordable. Not necessarily. You can be just as broke going in-state as you can going out of state. It's just you're going to be less broke, supposedly, at least until the interest starts adding on. But imagine if there was some sort of requirement that, before any student could enter college, they would be required to say, hold 2 small-time jobs, a full-time job, and they would be required to do that for a year. How many of them would then reevaluate, is this degree really worth it? But what happens is students are able to go straight from high school, it's kind of like jumping out of the fire pan into the fire. I think that's what it's called, okay? And they never have to experience the real world. I'll tell you who does experience the real world, though. It's the people who don't go to school. The people who don't go to, I should say, the people who don't go on to college, or at least don't go on to college right away. The people who don't go to college right away, they see it compared to their counterparts, okay? They see what the real world is like. They understand, okay? They start learning very quickly on how to get through, how to navigate the adult world of having a job, paying your rent, and all of that stuff. But people in college don't. And as the economy has gotten worse, okay, the idea is that when you go to school and you take on all this debt, the idea is supposed to be that you will wind up ahead. But looking at the trillions of dollars in debt, looking at the cost of school as it is, looking at the economy the way it currently is, I'm not sure that argument stands. Or at least the legs of the stool are wobbly if it's still standing on that. Because at this point, if I had a child who I knew, wanted to study something, but it wasn't going to need a college degree, then we're not going the college route. We'll go the college route if you actually need a degree to get into that job. But if you don't need a degree, there's no reason. College is just one path, people. College is just one path. It is not the only path. And I would say now more than ever, okay, we really, really need to help young people figure out, is college really what you need? Okay, so you want to be a drama major, okay? Or you want to study drama. How can you study drama and not have to pay somebody? I'll tell you one of the biggest scams I think in school was, what was it? Was the Art Institute or something like that. It was an art institute. And I remember years ago, and I think they long wound up, closing. And I remember years ago saying, telling a friend, I actually said, I said to her, I think that school exists just to keep the local business, just to keep the local art shops busy. In other words, my impression was they weren't really there to teach the students as much as they were just there to sell art supplies and overpriced paper and colored pencils. Okay, so to me, she's a textbook case, and her realization, her growing up, her, into the adult world was all of a sudden understanding compound interest. Why aren't these kids understanding this stuff before they leave high school? Why are we not teaching that to them their junior and senior year? Somebody wrote, and I apologize because I don't remember what your handle was. Somebody wrote on my channel just, I think, earlier today, and said, we have students who are required to take 2 years of foreign language that they're never going to use, that you can't submerge yourself into language, and studies show if you can't live it, breathe it, walk it, talk it, just sitting in a chair for 5 hours a week, an hour at a pop, trying to learn a language isn't very effective. We require students to take 2 years of foreign language in high school, 2 years in college. I was required to do that. It was the only way I could get out taking math. Okay, and we do that, but we don't teach them financial literacy. Financial literacy should not be taught after the kid gets out of college. Introduce them to the amortized student loan payment. Most of them probably don't even know what amortized means, much less how to spell it, or they don't know how to spell it, much less what it means. But this is when we introduce it to them. We are teaching these kids financial, and they're not really kids anymore because they're graduated, but I'm just using the term kids is generic, okay? We're teaching these kids basically financial literacy after they've gotten the degree. That is not the time to be teaching financial literacy. That's not. They should come out of college understanding the phrase is paying interest on the interest. They should have come out of college understanding how credit cards work, how amortized loans work. Okay, here's our college class, all right? I mean, here's our senior high school graduation. This school is going to cost you this much money. I want you to research what the average job payment is, how long it's going to take you to pay this loan back if you're on income based or if you make the minimum monthly payments. What's the difference between the amount you have to pay on your student loan versus the amount of extra pay you're going to get? How many years is it going to take you to take it off? In other words, we don't teach them this stuff until it's too late. And this is why and I say it 100 times, I've said it before, it's why we can't totally blame them, okay? It's why we can't totally blame the students. They don't know what they don't know because we don't teach it to them. If I had my dream, even in middle school, I would teach financial literacy. Hey, that's something for me to think about. Maybe I convince my principal, let me do that, okay? But if I could, I would teach students financial literacy. These kids aren't being taught that. The fact that she was shocked that, how hard it was to get her student loan debt down. Okay, someone who's bought a house would understand that already. Yeah, you're paying interest on the interest, and all the first months. What is the first 5, 7, 8 years payments goes to that. But in a young person's mind, they're thinking, okay, well, I'm making $700 a month payment. The bill is $18,000. Okay, and if I remember correctly, she had paid $64,000. Okay, $64,000 off of a $118,000 student loan bill. But almost half of that, okay, of course, all going to interest. And now she's trying to figure out how to save herself over 3 jobs. We are failing young people. We as society are failing them. Even as a teacher, I feel responsible. It's not even my job to teach it to them. Hence why I have this channel. We are failing them. We need to teach financial literacy before they need to know what it means. All right. That's enough yammering for the night. All right. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Hope you guys are enjoying the new direction of this channel. I'm enjoying it. All right. And I do hope you will consider subscribing and have a great night. Bye.